You know what's fascinating? Right now, in this very moment, you're holding on to so many things that you don't even need. You're clutching beliefs about who you think you should be, worries about what might happen tomorrow, and fears about what people might think of you. And all that gripping, all that tension, all that effort to control everything around you is actually pushing away the very things you want most in life. It's the great paradox of human existence. The harder you chase, the faster things run from you. The tighter you hold on, the more life slips through your fingers like sand. Let me tell you something that might sound strange at first. The universe is not withholding anything from you. You are withholding yourself from the universe. Think about that for a moment. Everything you desire, everything you long for, every dream you've tucked away in the corners of your heart is already trying to make its way to you. But you've got your arms crossed, your jaw clenched, and your whole being tied up in knots of resistance. You're like someone standing in a river, fighting against the current, exhausting yourself, when all you need to do is relax and let the water carry you exactly where you need to go. When you were born, you didn't come into this world with a manual that said you had to struggle. You didn't arrive with a rule book that declared life must be hard. That's something you learned. Someone taught you that you have to push and force and make things happen. Someone convinced you that if you're not worried, you're not being responsible. Someone told you that relaxation is laziness and that letting go means giving up. But all of those ideas, every single one of them, is working against your natural state of being. Watch a child for a few minutes. Really watch them. They don't wake up in the morning wondering if they're worthy of breakfast. They don't question whether they deserve to play or laugh or be loved. They simply exist in a state of allowing. They're connected to that invisible force that brings everything into existence, and they trust it completely. They fall down and get back up without a story about failure. They want something, and they ask for it without shame. They live in the present moment because they haven't yet learned to drag yesterday's pain into today or to poison today with tomorrow's fears. That's your natural state, too. You've just forgotten it. You've covered it up with layers and layers of conditioning of should and must and have to. You've built walls around your heart to protect yourself, not realizing that those same walls are keeping out all the good that's trying to reach you. You've learned to be suspicious of ease, to distrust joy, to question peace, and in doing so, you've made your life so much harder than it needs to be. Here's what I want you to understand. There is an organizing intelligence in the universe that knows exactly what it's doing. It grows your fingernails while you sleep. It beats your heart without you having to think about it. It turns an acorn into an oak tree and an embryo into a baby. This same intelligence that orchestrates the movement of planets and the changing of seasons is available to you right now. It wants to work through you, as you, for you. But you have to get out of your own way. Getting out of your own way doesn't mean doing nothing. It means stopping the frantic doing that comes from fear. It means releasing the white-knuckled grip you have on your life and trusting that you're being guided. It means understanding that there's a difference between action that flows from inspiration and action that comes from desperation. One feels light and energizing. The other feels heavy and exhausting. One opens doors. The other runs into walls. Think about the times in your life when things worked out beautifully. Were you forcing them? Were you struggling and straining? Or were you in a state of ease, following your intuition, taking inspired action? Most likely, the best things that ever happened to you came when you relaxed a little, when you stopped trying so hard, when you allowed yourself to be led rather than insisting on pushing your way through. The problem is that we've been taught to trust our minds more than our hearts. We think our way through life, analyzing every possibility, weighing every option, trying to figure everything out in advance. But life doesn't work that way. Life is spontaneous, life is creative, life is always moving, always flowing, always changing. And when you try to control it all with your limited human perspective, you miss the magic that's trying to happen. Your mind is a wonderful tool, but it's a terrible master. It will give you 1,000 reasons why you can't do something, why it won't work, why you're not ready. It will replay every past failure and project every possible future disaster. It will keep you small and safe and stuck. But your heart, your inner being, your connection to Source, that knows better. That part of you knows that you are capable of extraordinary things. That part of you knows that you are worthy of all good things. That part of you knows that when you align with the flow of life, miracles become ordinary. So how do you relax into this flow? How do you let go when you've spent your whole life learning to hold on? It starts with awareness. Just notice how much tension you're carrying. Notice how often you're fighting against what is. Notice how much mental energy you spend on things that haven't happened yet and may never happen. Notice how rarely you're actually present in this moment, the only moment that's real. When you catch yourself in that state of resistance, that state of struggle, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself a simple question. What if this didn't have to be so hard? What if there was an easier way? What if I could relax right now and trust that everything is working out? You don't have to believe it fully. You just have to be willing to consider the possibility. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying. You stop carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You stop carrying everyone else's problems. You stop carrying old hurts and ancient grievances. You stop carrying the burden of trying to control outcomes. You care deeply, you act lovingly, you do your best, and then you release the results. You understand that your job is to show up fully and authentically, and the universe's job is to handle the how and the when. This is where faith comes in, but I'm not talking about blind faith or religious dogma. I'm talking about a deep knowing that you are part of something much bigger than yourself. You are not a separate, isolated being trying to make it in a hostile world. You are an extension of the creative force that made everything. The same power that grows flowers and hangs stars in the sky is flowing through you right now. When you align with that power, when you allow it to move through you, your life becomes a reflection of that divine intelligence. But alignment requires surrender. It requires you to give up your addiction to struggle. And yes, it is an addiction. You've gotten so used to effort and strain that you don't trust anything that comes easily. You think if it's not hard, it's not valuable. If you didn't suffer for it, you didn't earn it. If it feels good, it must be wrong. These beliefs are poisoning your experience of life. What if the opposite were true? What if ease was the sign that you're on the right path? What if joy was your compass? What if feeling good was actually your natural state, and anything else was a sign that you're out of alignment? This is the truth that changes everything. You are meant to feel good. You are meant to be happy. You are meant to thrive. Not someday, not when you achieve enough or fix enough or become enough. Right now, exactly as you are. The reason you don't have what you want isn't because you're not worthy of it. It's because you're blocking it with your resistance. Every time you focus on lack, you create more lack. Every time you worry about what you don't have, you push it further away. Every time you look at your life and feel disappointed, you magnetize more disappointment. This isn't punishment. This is just the way energy works. You are a vibrational being in a vibrational universe, and you attract what matches your frequency. When you're tense, when you're anxious, when you're forcing, your vibration is low and constricted, you're literally closing yourself off from receiving. But when you relax, when you let go, when you trust, your vibration rises and expands. You become a magnet for all good things. You open yourself to possibilities you couldn't even see before. You allow synchronicities and miracles to find you. This doesn't mean you sit on your couch and wait for things to fall into your lap. It means you take action from a place of inspiration rather than desperation. You do what feels right, not what you think you should do. You follow your intuition even when it doesn't make logical sense. You say yes to opportunities that excite you and no to obligations that drain you. You stop living according to other people's expectations and start living according to your own inner guidance. And here's what happens when you do this. Life starts to feel different. Things start to fall into place with much less effort. The right people show up at the right time. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. Solutions appear for problems you thought were unsolvable. Money comes from unexpected sources. Love finds you when you stop desperately seeking it. Health improves when you stop fighting your body. Peace arrives when you stop resisting your circumstances. This is the flow. This is what happens when you stop being a dam and start being a river. You move with life instead of against it. You dance with circumstances instead of battling them. You trust the process instead of demanding specific outcomes. And paradoxically, when you stop needing things to be a certain way, they often turn out better than you could have planned. But I want to be clear about something. Letting go doesn't mean you become passive or apathetic. It doesn't mean you tolerate abuse or accept injustice. It doesn't mean you stop having preferences or goals. It means you hold your desires lightly. You want what you want, but you don't need it to be happy. You work toward your goals, but you don't attach your worth to achieving them. You have preferences, but you don't suffer when life gives you something different. This is the freedom that everyone is seeking. Freedom isn't having everything go your way. Freedom is being okay no matter what happens. It's knowing that your well-being doesn't depend on external circumstances. It's understanding that peace is your choice in every moment. It's recognizing that you are not a victim of your life, but a creator of your experience. You create your experience with your thoughts. Every thought you think is sending out a signal, attracting matching circumstances. When you think thoughts of lack, you experience lack. When you think thoughts of abundance, you experience abundance. When you think thoughts of unworthiness, you create experiences that confirm your unworthiness. When you think thoughts of love and appreciation, you create experiences that reflect that back to you. This is why it's so important to become aware of what you're thinking. Most people are completely unconscious of their thought patterns. They think the same thoughts day after day, year after year, and then wonder why their life never changes. They complain about the same problems, tell the same stories, replay the same grievances, and magnetize the same situations over and over again. If you want your life to change, you have to change your mind. You have to start thinking new thoughts. You have to let go of the old stories that keep you stuck. You have to stop defining yourself by your past. You have to stop predicting your future based on your history. You have to start seeing yourself as the infinite being that you truly are, capable of anything, worthy of everything, connected to all that is. And when doubt creeps in, when fear tries to take over, when your old patterns try to reassert themselves, you gently bring yourself back to the present moment. You remind yourself that you are safe right now. You reconnect with your breath. You feel your body. You look around and notice something beautiful. You choose a thought that feels better. You don't fight the negative thought or judge yourself for having it. You simply redirect your attention to something that lifts you up. This is the practice. This is how you train yourself to live in the flow. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware. It's about catching yourself when you're in resistance and choosing to soften. It's about noticing when you're forcing and deciding to ease up. It's about recognizing when you're in your head and dropping into your heart. Your heart knows the way. Your heart is always connected to Source. Your heart never lies to you. When something feels right in your heart, it is right for you. When something feels wrong in your heart, it's wrong for you. It's that simple. But you've been taught to ignore your heart, to override it with logic, to dismiss it as foolish or naive. You've been taught to do what makes sense, what's practical, what's safe, and in the process, you've cut yourself off from your most reliable guidance system. Start listening to your heart again. Start trusting those subtle nudges and whispers. Start following the path that lights you up, even if you can't see where it leads. Start saying yes to what excites you and no to what depletes you. Start choosing love over fear, expansion over contraction, possibility over limitation. Start living as if you are fully supported by the universe, because you are. The universe is not neutral. It is conspiring in your favor. It wants you to succeed. It wants you to be happy. It wants you to fulfill your potential. But it can only give you what you're willing to receive. And you can only receive when you're relaxed and open. When you're tense and closed, you block the flow. It's like trying to pour water into a bottle with the cap on. The water is there, the bottle is there, but nothing can get in until you remove the barrier. Your barriers are your beliefs. Your beliefs about yourself, about life, about what's possible, about what you deserve. These beliefs create your reality. If you believe life is hard, you will experience hardship. If you believe people can't be trusted, you will attract untrustworthy people. If you believe money is scarce, you will struggle financially. If you believe love is painful, you will have painful relationships. Your beliefs are self-fulfilling prophecies. But here's the good news. Beliefs can be changed. You chose them, consciously or unconsciously, and you can choose new ones. You can decide today that you're going to believe something different. You can decide that life is actually working for you, not against you. You can decide that you are worthy of love and success and happiness. You can decide that the universe is abundant and there's more than enough for everyone. You can decide that miracles are natural and magic is real. When you change your beliefs, you change your life. It's not an overnight transformation. You've been practicing your old beliefs for years, maybe decades. They're deeply grooved into your consciousness. But with consistent attention and intention, you can create new grooves. You can rewire your brain. You can shift your vibration. You can become a different person, living a different life. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to do it alone. When you align with the flow, when you surrender to the intelligence that creates worlds, you have access to infinite support. Help comes from everywhere. Teachers appear, books fall off shelves, conversations happen that shift your perspective. Opportunities arise that you never could have manufactured. You are guided step by step, breath by breath, into the fullness of who you came here to be, but you have to trust the process. You have to let go of your timetable. You have to release your attachment to how things should unfold. The universe has a plan that's far grander than anything your limited human mind could devise. What you think you want is often a pale shadow of what's actually available to you. What you're trying to force is often blocking something much better from arriving. This is why patience is so important. Not the patience of gritting your teeth and enduring, but the patience of knowing that everything is happening in divine timing. The patience of trusting that what's meant for you won't miss you. The patience of understanding that delays are not denials, they're redirections. The patience of believing that if something didn't work out, it's because something better is on the way. When you live with this kind of patience, with this kind of trust, with this kind of faith, life becomes so much sweeter. The struggle falls away, the anxiety diminishes. The constant striving stops exhausting you. You find yourself in a state of peace more often than not. You feel grateful for what is, even as you're excited about what's coming. You enjoy the present moment instead of constantly living in the future. And this is when the magic really starts to happen. When you're present, when you're grateful, when you're at peace, you're in your highest vibration. You're a match for miracles. You're aligned with Source. You're in the flow. And from this place, you don't have to chase anything. Everything you need comes to you. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. Not because you're special, but because this is how the universe works for everyone who learns to work with it instead of against it. You are not here to prove anything to anyone. You're not here to earn your worth or justify your existence. You're not here to please everyone or fix everything or save the world single-handedly. You're here to be yourself, your authentic, magnificent, perfectly imperfect self. You're here to express your unique gifts and share your special light. You're here to love and be loved. You're here to experience the fullness of life in all its beautiful, messy, glorious complexity. And you can't do any of that when you're tight and tense and trying to control everything. You can only do it when you're loose and open and willing to let life surprise you. You can only do it when you trade your agenda for trust, your plans for faith, your fear for love. You can only do it when you relax into the flow and let yourself be carried by the current of grace that's always been there, always been available, always been waiting for you to stop resisting and start allowing. So what does this look like practically? It looks like waking up in the morning and instead of immediately checking your phone or running through your to-do list, you take a few moments to breathe and set an intention. You say something like, today I'm open to miracles. Today I trust that I'm being guided. Today I choose ease over struggle. And then you go about your day with that awareness. It looks like noticing when you're in resistance and making a different choice. When you're stuck in traffic and feel yourself getting angry, you pause and think, what if this delay is protecting me from something? What if I'm exactly where I need to be right now? You choose peace instead of frustration. It looks like catching yourself when you're worrying and redirecting your thoughts. Instead of spinning out about all the things that could go wrong, you ask yourself, what if everything works out perfectly? What if this situation turns out even better than I hoped? You choose faith instead of fear. It looks like saying no to things that don't feel right, even if you can't explain why. It looks like saying yes to things that excite you, even if they seem illogical. It looks like following your intuition, trusting your gut, listening to that quiet voice inside that always knows the truth. It looks like being kind to yourself when you mess up. It looks like forgiving yourself quickly and moving on. It looks like treating yourself the way you would treat a beloved child or dear friend. It looks like giving yourself permission to rest, to play, to do nothing, to change your mind, to be human. It looks like appreciating what you have instead of constantly focusing on what's missing. It looks like finding reasons to feel grateful, even on the hard days. It looks like acknowledging the good that's already present in your life, even as you're calling in more. It looks like seeing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than evidence of failure. It looks like understanding that obstacles are often redirections, pointing you toward a better path. It looks like trusting that if a door closes, it's because you're meant to go through a different one. It looks like letting people be who they are without trying to change them. It looks like releasing your need to control how others think, feel, or behave. It looks like taking responsibility for your own happiness instead of making it dependent on anyone else's actions. It looks like being honest about your feelings without being a victim of them. It looks like acknowledging that, yes, this hurts. Yes, this is disappointing. Yes, this is scary. And also knowing that you're strong enough to handle it. It looks like feeling your feelings fully and then choosing thoughts that help you move through them. It looks like celebrating other people's success instead of feeling threatened by it. It looks like understanding that there's enough for everyone. It looks like knowing that someone else's win doesn't diminish you in any way. It looks like being genuinely happy when good things happen to others. It looks like taking inspired action when you feel pulled to do something, even if the timing seems off or the path seems unclear. It looks like trusting those mysterious urges to call someone, to go somewhere, to try something new. It looks like following the breadcrumbs of inspiration wherever they lead. It looks like relaxing your body throughout the day, dropping your shoulders, unclenching your jaw, softening your belly, breathing fully, releasing physical tension so energy can flow freely through you. It looks like spending time in nature, connecting with the earth, remembering that you're part of something vast and intelligent. It looks like feeling the sun on your face, the wind in your hair, the ground beneath your feet, and knowing that you're held by this planet, supported by this universe. It looks like surrounding yourself with beauty, music that moves you, art that inspires you, spaces that feel peaceful, people who uplift you, anything that raises your vibration and reminds you of the goodness of life. It looks like being present with the people you love, really listening when they talk, looking into their eyes, putting down your phone, being fully there, recognizing that these moments are what life is actually made of. It looks like laughing often, finding humor in everyday situations, not taking yourself so seriously, remembering that you're a spiritual being having a human experience, and sometimes the human part is absurd and ridiculous, and that's okay. It looks like dreaming big without attachment, allowing yourself to want what you want, letting yourself feel excited about possibilities, and then releasing it all to the universe, trusting that what's meant for you will come, and what's not meant for you will make way for something better. This is the practice of living in the flow. It's simple, but not always easy, because you're going against years of conditioning. You're reprogramming patterns that have been running automatically for most of your life. You're choosing a different way of being in a world that constantly tells you to push harder, do more, be better. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. The more you choose ease, the easier life gets. The more you trust, the more trustworthy life reveals itself to be. The more you relax, the more everything you desire flows to you effortlessly. And one day you'll look back and realize that everything has changed. Not because you forced it to change, but because you allowed it to change. Not because you finally figured everything out, but because you stopped needing to have all the answers. Not because you became perfect, but because you became present. Not because you gained control, but because you surrendered control. You'll realize that the life you were chasing was actually chasing you, and it finally caught up when you stopped running. You'll realize that the love you were seeking was always within you, waiting to be acknowledged. You'll realize that the peace you were searching for was never lost, just covered over with layers of resistance. You'll realize that you are exactly who you needed to be all along, that you are enough, that you always have been enough, that you were born worthy, and nothing you've done or failed to do has changed that fundamental truth. You'll realize that life wasn't meant to be a battle. It was meant to be a dance. And you'll finally allow yourself to hear the music, to feel the rhythm, to move with grace and joy and abandon. You'll stop sitting on the sidelines, judging yourself, waiting to be ready. You'll get up and dance even if you don't know the steps, even if you feel foolish, even if you're dancing alone, because this is your life. This is your one precious, unrepeatable, miraculous life. And you get to choose how you live it. You can spend it in struggle and resistance, trying to force things to be different than they are. Or you can spend it in flow and allowance, trusting that you're always being guided toward your highest good. You can grip and grasp and control. Or you can open your hands and receive. You can fight the current, or you can relax and let it carry you. You can build walls, or you can build bridges. You can contract in fear, or you can expand in love. The choice is always yours. In every moment, with every breath, you choose. And whatever you've been choosing up until now, you can choose differently right now. You can decide that this is the moment everything changes. Not because your circumstances changed, but because you changed. Not because life finally bent to your will, but because you stopped bending life and started bending with it. Right now, you can take a breath and let go of something you've been holding on to. A grudge, a worry, a need for things to be different, a belief that's keeping you small. Just let it go. Feel how much lighter you are without it. Feel how much space that creates. Feel how much more is now able to flow into your life. Right now, you can make a decision to trust. Even if you've been disappointed before, even if you've been hurt, even if you've tried and failed, you can decide that this time is different because you're approaching it differently. You're not forcing, you're not controlling, you're simply showing up as your authentic self and allowing life to meet you there. Right now, you can remember who you really are, not the small, scared, limited version of yourself that you sometimes believe in, but the vast, powerful, infinite being that you truly are. The one who chose to be here in this body at this time for a reason. The one who has everything within them that they need. The one who is never alone because they're always connected to Source. You are that. You have always been that. You will always be that. Nothing you do or don't do can change the essential truth of your being. You are a divine creation, an expression of love, a channel for miracles. And when you remember this, when you align with this, when you live from this place, everything changes, not overnight, not without effort, not without challenges, but steadily, surely, beautifully, your life transforms into something that reflects your true nature. You become a living example of what's possible when you stop resisting life and start allowing it. You become a demonstration of grace in action. You become a beacon of light in a world that desperately needs more people who are willing to shine. This is what you're here for. Not to play small, not to stay safe, not to fit in, but to be fully, magnificently, unapologetically yourself. To let your light shine so brightly that it illuminates the path for others. To live in such a state of joy and peace and love that others are inspired to find their own way there. And you do that by relaxing, by letting go, by trusting, by flowing, by being who you already are instead of trying to become who you think you should be, by accepting what is instead of fighting for what isn't, by embracing this moment, this life, this beautiful, messy, perfect experience of being human. So relax. Right now, as you're hearing these words, just relax. Drop your shoulders, soften your face, breathe deeply, let go of whatever you're carrying that isn't yours to carry. Release whatever you're holding that's no longer serving you. Surrender whatever you're resisting that's blocking your good. And know that as you do this, as you make space, as you open up, as you allow, the universe rushes in to fill that space with everything you've been longing for. Not because you finally earned it or deserved it or figured out the secret, but because that's what the universe does. It fills empty spaces, it flows into openings, it responds to allowance. You are allowing right now, and in this allowing, you are attracting, you are magnetizing, you are calling forth everything that matches this new, higher vibration. You are creating space for miracles. You are opening doors to possibilities. You are saying yes to life, and life is saying yes back to you. This is the flow. This is the way. This is how you create a life that feels good, that works easily, that reflects your true nature. Not by forcing, but by allowing. Not by struggling, but by surrendering. Not by controlling, but by trusting. And every time you choose this, every time you remember this, every time you practice this, you strengthen this new way of being. It becomes more natural, more automatic, more who you are, until one day you realize you're not even trying anymore. You're just being. You're just flowing. You're just living in alignment with the infinite intelligence that creates and sustains all life. And from that place, anything is possible. Everything is available. Nothing is out of reach. Because you're no longer standing in your own way. You're no longer blocking your good. You're no longer resisting your highest potential. You're simply allowing it all to unfold exactly as it's meant to, in perfect timing, with grace and ease and joy. This is your birthright. This is your natural state. This is who you've always been underneath all the conditioning and programming and fear. Welcome home. Welcome back to yourself. Welcome to the flow. You know, there comes a moment in every person's life when you realize that everything you've been searching for, everything you've been trying to control, everything you've been worrying about is already taken care of. There's a force in this universe, a divine intelligence that created you, that brought you into this world, and that same force hasn't abandoned you. It's right here, right now, in this very moment, waiting for you to recognize it, waiting for you to align yourself with it, waiting for you to surrender to its infinite wisdom. When I talk about seeking God's plan, I'm not talking about some distant concept that lives in buildings or books alone. I'm talking about something that's alive within you right now. It's in every breath you take, in every beat of your heart, in every cell of your body that knows exactly what to do without you having to think about it. Your heart doesn't ask for permission to beat. Your lungs don't question whether they should breathe. There's an intelligence running through you that's far greater than your ego, far greater than your worries, far greater than all your plans and schemes. Most of us spend our entire lives trying to force things to happen. We push, we struggle, we manipulate, we control. We wake up in the morning with our list of demands for the universe. We want this job, we want that relationship, we want this amount of money, we want that kind of recognition. And then we wonder why we're exhausted. We wonder why we're anxious. We wonder why, despite all our efforts, things don't seem to work out the way we planned. The reason is simple. We're trying to do God's job. We're trying to be the author of a story that's already been written with love, with purpose, with infinite care. When you really stop and think about it, isn't it remarkable that you're here at all? Consider the odds. Consider the millions of ancestors who had to meet, who had to survive, who had to bring forth the next generation, all leading to this moment, to you, sitting here right now. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not here by random chance. You are an intentional creation of the divine source, and you have a purpose that's uniquely yours. Nobody else can fulfill your purpose. Nobody else has your combination of gifts, experiences, challenges, and opportunities. But here's what happens to most people. They forget this truth. They get caught up in the illusion that they're separate from God, separate from the source, separate from this divine intelligence. They start believing that they're alone, that they have to figure everything out by themselves, that their survival depends entirely on their own efforts. And this belief creates fear, it creates anxiety, it creates a sense of lack. Because when you believe you're separate from the infinite, you automatically feel finite. You feel limited. You feel like there's not enough, like you're not enough, like you have to fight for every scrap of goodness that comes your way. This is not the truth of who you are. The truth is that you are connected to an unlimited source of love, wisdom, creativity, and power. The same force that creates galaxies, that transforms seeds into trees, that orchestrates the changing of seasons, that heals cuts on your skin without you having to think about it. This same force is working in your life right now. It's working for you, through you, and as you. But you have to get out of your own way. You have to stop insisting that things happen according to your limited understanding and start trusting that there's a bigger plan unfolding. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. You're thinking, but I've tried trusting, I've tried having faith, and terrible things still happened. I prayed and my prayers weren't answered. I believed and I was disappointed. I understand this. I truly do. But let me ask you something. When you were praying, when you were asking, were you telling God what you wanted? Or were you asking to understand what God wants for you? There's a huge difference. When you pray with demands, you're operating from ego. You're saying, I know better than the universe. I know exactly what I need. But when you pray with openness, when you say, Thy will be done, you're acknowledging that there's a wisdom greater than your own, a perspective wider than your limited view, a love deeper than you can comprehend. Think about a small child who wants to eat candy for every meal. The child doesn't understand nutrition. The child doesn't understand that candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner will make them sick. The child just knows what tastes good in the moment. And when a loving parent says no, when that parent provides healthy food instead, the child might cry. The child might feel like their desires aren't being met. But the parent isn't being cruel. The parent is acting from wisdom, from understanding, from a love that sees the bigger picture. This is how God works in your life. Sometimes what you think you want isn't what you need. Sometimes the delays, the detours, the disappointments, they're all protecting you from something or preparing you for something better. I've seen this in my own life countless times. Doors that I desperately wanted to walk through slammed shut in my face. And at the time, I felt devastated. I felt rejected. I felt like my prayers weren't being heard. But years later, looking back, I could see clearly that if those doors had opened, I would have walked into situations that weren't right for me. I would have gotten stuck in places that would have prevented me from reaching my true purpose. The universe wasn't saying no to me. It was saying not that, because there's something better waiting for you. This is where faith comes in. Faith isn't about having proof. Faith isn't about knowing exactly how things will work out. Faith is about trusting, even when you can't see the full picture. It's about believing that you're being guided even when the path seems dark. It's about knowing that you're being supported even when you feel alone. And this kind of faith, this unshakable trust in divine guidance, this is what transforms your life. This is what opens doors that you didn't even know existed. This is what brings miracles into your experience. But you have to understand something crucial. Faith without action is just wishful thinking. God's plan for you isn't something that happens to you while you sit passively on the couch waiting for lightning to strike. God's plan unfolds through you. It manifests through your choices, your actions, your willingness to show up and do your part. You have to meet the universe halfway. You have to say yes when opportunities present themselves. You have to be willing to take risks, to step into the unknown, to follow that quiet voice inside you that says, go this way. So many people are waiting for a burning bush moment, waiting for God to appear in some dramatic fashion and hand them a detailed instruction manual for their life. But that's not how it works. God speaks in whispers. God speaks through intuition, through synchronicity, through those subtle nudges that say, call this person, or take this class, or move to this city. When you learn to listen to these whispers, when you learn to trust these inner promptings, you align yourself with God's plan. You become a co-creator with the divine. And let me tell you about healing, because this is so important. So many people are walking around carrying pain, carrying trauma, carrying wounds from the past. They've been hurt by others. They've been disappointed by life. They've made mistakes that they can't forgive themselves for. And this pain, it's like a weight they carry everywhere they go. It colors everything they see. It limits what they believe is possible for them. They think this pain is just part of who they are now, that it's permanent, that they're damaged beyond repair. But healing is always available to you, always. No matter what you've been through, no matter what's been done to you or what you've done to yourself, healing is your birthright. It's not something you have to earn. It's not something you have to be worthy of. It's simply waiting for you to accept it, to allow it, to open yourself to it. And the key to healing is forgiveness. Not because the people who hurt you deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. You deserve freedom. You deserve to stop carrying that weight. When you hold on to anger, when you hold on to resentment, when you hold on to the desire for revenge, you're not hurting the person who wronged you, you're hurting yourself. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Every moment you spend replaying the past, rehearsing your grievances, reinforcing your victimhood, is a moment you're not available for the goodness that's trying to reach you now. The past is over. It has no power over you except the power you give it through your attention, through your thoughts, through your refusal to let it go. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was okay. It doesn't mean you have to trust the person who hurt you or let them back into your life. Forgiveness simply means you're done carrying the burden. You're releasing the pain. You're choosing peace over punishment, love over hate, freedom over imprisonment. And when you do this, when you truly forgive, something miraculous happens. Space opens up inside you. Energy that was locked up in old grievances becomes available for new creation. You become lighter. You become freer. You become available for God's grace to flow through you. The same is true for forgiving yourself. Maybe you've done things you're ashamed of. Maybe you've hurt people. Maybe you've made choices that led to consequences you regret. I want you to understand something. You did the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. That's it. That's all anyone ever does. You're not the same person you were 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago. You've grown, you've learned, you've evolved. To keep punishing yourself for who you used to be is insane. It's like refusing to eat today because you ate something bad last week. It makes no sense. God doesn't keep a record of your mistakes. God doesn't hold grudges. God is infinite love, infinite compassion, infinite forgiveness. The only one holding you prisoner to your past is you. And the moment you decide to forgive yourself, the moment you decide to see yourself as God sees you, as a beloved child who's learning and growing and doing your best, that's the moment true healing begins. That's the moment you step into the fullness of who you really are. Now, let's talk about what it actually means to seek God's plan. It's not complicated. It doesn't require you to be a scholar or a saint. It simply requires willingness to be guided, willingness to let go of your insistence that things happen your way, willingness to consider that there might be a better way, a higher way, a way that serves not just your individual desires, but the highest good of all. You seek God's plan by starting your day with this intention. Before you get caught up in emails and obligations and the demands of the world, you take a few moments to connect with Source. You don't have to use fancy words. You don't have to recite memorized prayers unless that resonates with you. You simply say, help me, guide me, show me what you would have me do today. Use me as an instrument of your love. That's it, simple, direct, honest. And then throughout the day, you stay alert to guidance. You notice the coincidences that aren't really coincidences. You pay attention to the people who cross your path. You listen to that inner knowing that tells you when something is right or when something is off. You don't override your intuition with logic and rationalization. You trust it. You follow it. You let it lead you. This doesn't mean you stop using your mind. It doesn't mean you stop planning or being responsible. It just means you hold your plans lightly. You stay flexible. You remain open to course corrections. You understand that your job is to show up, to do your best, to act with integrity and love, and then to surrender the results. The outcome isn't your responsibility. Your responsibility is the effort, the intention, the love you bring to each moment. The outcome is God's responsibility. And here's what's so beautiful about living this way. The pressure comes off. You stop carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You stop thinking everything depends on you. You realize you're part of a much larger process, a divine unfolding that's been happening since the beginning of time and will continue long after you're gone. Your part is important, yes. You matter, absolutely. But you're not alone in this. You're supported, you're guided, you're loved beyond measure. When you really get this, when you really understand that you're living in a friendly universe that wants you to succeed, that wants you to be happy, that wants you to fulfill your purpose, everything changes. Fear loses its grip on you. Anxiety decreases. You stop trying to control every little detail and start flowing with life instead of against it. You become like water, which doesn't struggle against obstacles, but simply finds a way around them, through them, over them. Water is soft and flexible, yet over time it carves through solid rock. This is the power of surrender, of trust, of alignment with God's plan. I want to talk to you about the power of prayer, because I think many people misunderstand what prayer really is. Prayer is not begging. It's not pleading with some distant deity who may or may not be listening. Prayer is communication with the divine intelligence that lives within you and all around you. It's tuning your frequency to match the frequency of love, of abundance, of wholeness. When you pray, you're not trying to change God's mind. You're changing your own mind. You're shifting your perception from fear to love, from lack to abundance, from illness to wholeness. True prayer is affirmative. It's not, please give me this thing that I don't have. It's thank you for this thing that's already mine in the spiritual realm and is now manifesting in the physical realm. You see the difference? One comes from a consciousness of lack. The other comes from a consciousness of abundance. One is begging. The other is claiming what's already yours. When you pray for healing, you don't pray as if you're sick and hoping to get better. You pray from the understanding that wholeness is your natural state, that health is your divine right, that the same intelligence that created your body knows exactly how to heal your body. You align yourself with this truth. You give thanks for the healing that's already taking place, even if you can't see it yet. You trust the process. You support it with right action, with proper care, with positive thoughts, but you don't doubt it. You know it's happening. And you know what? This kind of faith, this kind of absolute trust, this creates the conditions for miracles, not because you're forcing God to do something, but because you're removing the blocks that were preventing the natural flow of divine energy through you. It's like cleaning the dirt off a window. The sun was always there, always shining, but you couldn't see it because the window was dirty. When you clean the window, suddenly light pours in. This is what prayer does. It cleans the window of your consciousness so that God's light can shine through. Let me tell you something that might challenge you a bit. Every problem you have, every challenge you face, every difficulty in your life is actually a spiritual assignment. It's an opportunity for growth, for learning, for evolution. Nothing is happening to you. It's all happening for you. The universe is not punishing you, it's teaching you, it's stretching you, it's preparing you for something greater. When you shift your perspective like this, when you start asking, what is this here to teach me, instead of why is this happening to me, everything transforms. You stop being a victim. You become a student. And every challenge becomes interesting instead of devastating. You start to see the gifts hidden in the difficulties. You start to recognize that your greatest strengths often come from your greatest struggles. The things you went through that nearly broke you, they made you who you are today. They gave you depth, compassion, wisdom, resilience. They're not mistakes. They're part of your curriculum in this school called life. God's plan for you includes both the mountaintops and the valleys. Both are necessary. You can't appreciate the light without experiencing the darkness. You can't develop courage without facing fear. You can't learn compassion without experiencing pain. So don't resent the difficult times. Don't waste energy asking, why me? Instead, stand up straight and say, I can handle this. I'm stronger than I know. And there's something valuable here for me to learn. This brings me to something really important, the role of gratitude in seeking God's plan. Gratitude is not just a nice thing to do. It's not just about being polite or positive. Gratitude is a powerful spiritual practice that completely shifts your energy and opens you to receive more blessings. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you're acknowledging the abundance that's already in your life. You're saying yes to goodness. You're tuning your frequency to match the frequency of more goodness. The universe responds to gratitude like a garden responds to water. What you appreciate appreciates. What you focus on expands. If you walk around all day noticing everything that's wrong, everything that's missing, everything that's not working, you'll get more of that. But if you train yourself to notice the blessings, to acknowledge the gifts, to recognize the miracles, both big and small, that are happening all around you all the time, you'll get more of that too. Start your morning with gratitude before your feet hit the floor, before you check your phone, before you start thinking about your problems. Take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this body that works. Thank you for the roof over my head. Thank you for the people who love me. Thank you for food to eat. Thank you for challenges that help me grow. Thank you for the opportunity to make a difference today. Just a few moments of genuine gratitude can completely change the trajectory of your day. And end your day with gratitude too. Review your day and find the blessings. Maybe something wonderful happened. Maybe you had a difficulty, but you handled it well. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you helped someone. Maybe you simply survived a tough day, and that in itself is worth celebrating. Every single day contains gifts if you're willing to look for them. Now, I want to address something that stops so many people from fully trusting in God's plan, the need to know how and when. We want guarantees. We want to see the entire path laid out before us before we're willing to take the first step. We want to know that if we do this, we'll definitely get that. We want certainty in an uncertain world. And this need for control, this insistence on knowing all the details in advance, this keeps us stuck. Think about it. When you were born, you didn't know how to walk. But did you refuse to try because you couldn't see the whole process? No, you just started. You fell down. You got back up. You fell down again. You kept trying. And eventually, without knowing the mechanics of balance and movement, without understanding the physics involved, you learned to walk. This is how life works. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step. God's plan for you unfolds one step at a time. You get the next instruction when you complete the current one. You get the next piece when you've integrated this one. It's like driving at night with your headlights on. You can only see about 200 feet ahead, but you don't need to see all the way to your destination. You just need to see far enough to take the next section of road, and then the next section appears, and then the next. This is faith. This is trust. This is how you move forward even when you can't see the whole path. And let me tell you, when you live this way, when you stop demanding guarantees and start trusting the process, life becomes an adventure instead of a burden. Every day brings new possibilities. Every moment is fresh. You're not locked into one rigid plan that has to work out exactly as you imagined it, or you'll be devastated. You're flowing. You're dancing with life. You're co-creating with the universe. And this, my friend, this is true freedom. I also want to talk about the importance of listening to your body, because your body is constantly giving you messages from God. When you feel peace, when you feel expanded, when you feel energized by something, that's a yes from the universe. When you feel contracted, when you feel drained, when you feel anxious about something, that's important information too. Your body doesn't lie. Your mind can rationalize and justify and convince you of all kinds of things, but your body knows the truth. So many people ignore the wisdom of their bodies. They push through exhaustion. They override their intuition with logic. They stay in situations that make them physically sick because they think they should, because they made a commitment, because other people expect it. But God gave you this body as a guidance system. It's constantly communicating with you. When you're aligned with your true path, you feel good. You feel energized. Even when you're working hard, there's a sense of rightness about it. When you're off track, when you're forcing something that's not meant for you, your body rebels. It gets tense. It gets sick. It breaks down. Start paying attention. When you're considering a decision, notice how your body responds. Does your chest open or close? Do you feel lighter or heavier? Do you breathe more easily, or does your breath get shallow? Your body knows what your mind might not want to admit. Trust it. Honor it. Let it guide you back to alignment with God's plan for you. And here's something that might surprise you. God's plan for you includes joy. It includes pleasure. It includes fun. So many people think that spirituality means suffering, that to be holy you have to be miserable, that God wants you to sacrifice and struggle and deny yourself. This is absolutely false. God is joy. God is love. God is creativity and beauty and laughter and celebration. God wants you to thrive, not just survive. When you're doing what you're meant to do, when you're aligned with your purpose, it doesn't feel like drudgery. It feels like play. Yes, there's effort involved. Yes, there are challenges, but there's also deep satisfaction. There's a sense of, this is what I'm here for. You lose track of time. You forget to check your phone. You're fully present, fully engaged, fully alive. This is the feeling of being in the flow, of being in alignment with divine will. If you're spending your days in activities that drain you, that bore you, that make you constantly check the clock waiting for them to be over, you're not living God's plan for your life. You might be living someone else's expectations. You might be living society's definition of success. You might be living out old conditioning about what you should do, but you're not living your truth. And yes, I know, you have responsibilities. You have bills to pay. You have people depending on you. I'm not suggesting you quit your job tomorrow with no plan. What I'm suggesting is that you start listening to that voice inside you that knows there's something more for you. Start taking small steps toward what lights you up. Start saying no to things that don't align with your truth and yes to things that do. Start trusting that as you move toward your purpose, the universe will support you. Doors will open. Resources will appear. People will show up to help. This is how it works when you're aligned with God's plan. Let me tell you about the concept of surrender, because this is where so many people get confused. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean being passive or lazy or irresponsible. Surrender means releasing your attachment to specific outcomes. It means doing your absolute best and then letting go of the results. It means understanding that you control your efforts but not the outcome. It means trusting that whatever happens is exactly what's supposed to happen, even if it's not what you wanted or expected. This is incredibly freeing once you get it. You pour your heart and soul into your work, into your relationships, into your creative projects, but you don't measure your worth by the results. You don't fall apart if things don't work out the way you planned. You recognize that there are forces at play beyond your understanding, that there's a timing to everything, that what seems like a failure right now might be redirecting you towards something better. When you surrender in this way, when you do your part and trust God to do God's part, the struggle stops. The resistance stops. You're no longer fighting against reality. You're accepting what is and working with it instead of against it. This doesn't mean you don't have preferences. It doesn't mean you don't have goals. It just means you hold them lightly. You move toward them with effort and enthusiasm, but you're not attached. You're open to something even better. Showing up. I want to talk to you about the power of meditation and quiet time, because this is how you hear God's voice most clearly. In our modern world, we're constantly bombarded with noise. The television is on, the phone is beeping, the computer is dinging, people are talking, music is playing. We fill every moment with distraction. And in all this noise, that still small voice inside you, that divine guidance, it gets drowned out. You need silence. You need stillness. You need time when you're not consuming information or entertainment, when you're not talking or listening to others talk, when you're simply being. This is when inspiration comes. This is when solutions appear. This is when you hear the whispers of your soul telling you which way to go. Even 10 minutes a day of sitting quietly can transform your life. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to empty your mind of all thoughts. You just sit. You breathe. You notice. You allow. And gradually, over time, you start to recognize a difference between the voice of your ego and the voice of your higher self. The ego is loud, demanding, fearful, urgent. The higher self is quiet, patient, loving, certain. The ego says, you better do this or else. The higher self says, consider this possibility. The ego creates chaos. The higher self creates peace. The more you practice stillness, the more you're able to access this inner guidance, even in the midst of a busy day. You're having a conversation and suddenly you know exactly what to say. You're facing a decision and suddenly you have clarity. You're confused about a situation and suddenly you understand. This is God speaking to you, through you, as you. This is what it means to be guided. And let me share something profound with you. God's plan for your life is not just about you. It's about everyone your life touches. You're not here just for your own fulfillment, your own happiness, your own success. You're here to be a light for others. You're here to contribute something that only you can contribute. You're here to make a difference. When you align with God's plan, when you step into your purpose, you automatically become a blessing to others. Your presence uplifts people. Your words inspire people. Your example shows people what's possible. You don't have to try to be helpful. You don't have to force it. It just naturally flows through you when you're living your truth. Think about the people who've made the biggest difference in your life. Chances are they weren't trying to be helpful. They were just being themselves. They were living their truth. They were expressing their gifts. And in doing so, they touched you. They changed you. They helped you see something you couldn't see before. This is what you're here to do for others. But you can't give what you don't have. You can't be a light for others if your own light is dim. This is why taking care of yourself, why seeking your own healing, why aligning with God's plan for your life, this isn't selfish. It's necessary. It's how you become capable of truly serving others. Not from a place of depletion and martyrdom, but from a place of overflow and joy. When you're filled up, when you're connected to Source, when you're living in alignment with your purpose, you have so much to give. It pours out of you naturally. You don't have to force yourself to be kind or patient or generous. It just happens. This is the difference between service that depletes you and service that energizes you. One comes from ego, from trying to prove your worth, from seeking approval. The other comes from spirit, from knowing your worth, from simply being who you are. Now let's talk about persistence and patience. Because seeking God's plan isn't always a straight line. Sometimes you'll feel connected and guided and on track. Other times you'll feel lost and confused and wonder if you're making it all up. This is normal. This is part of the process. Don't let the difficult moments convince you that you're doing something wrong or that God has abandoned you. When you plant a seed in the ground, there's a period where nothing visible is happening. The seed is underground, in the dark, and if you didn't know better, you might think nothing is growing. But beneath the surface, incredible things are happening. Roots are forming. Strength is building. The plant is preparing to break through the soil. You just have to keep watering it, keep having faith, keep trusting that the growth is happening even though you can't see it yet. This is how spiritual growth works too. There are times when you'll feel like nothing is happening, like you're not making progress, like your prayers aren't being answered. But God is always working. The seeds you've planted are always growing. The healing is always taking place. The guidance is always available. You just have to keep showing up. Keep doing your part. Keep trusting. And one day, often when you least expect it, you'll break through. You'll have a breakthrough. You'll look back and see how far you've come, and you'll be amazed. Patience is so important here. We live in a culture of instant gratification. We want everything now. We want the microwave version of spiritual growth. But souls don't work on microwave time. They work on oak tree time. Slow, steady, strong growth that lasts. Don't compare your timeline to anyone else's. Don't judge yourself because someone else seems to be progressing faster than you. You're exactly where you need to be. You're learning exactly what you need to learn. Trust your timing. And when you do experience setbacks, when you do fall back into old patterns, when you do forget everything you've learned and find yourself in fear and worry again, be gentle with yourself. Growth is not linear. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have days when you feel like a spiritual master and days when you feel like a complete beginner. This doesn't mean you're failing. This means you're human. This means you're learning. The key is to keep coming back, keep returning to center, keep remembering the truth. Every time you catch yourself in fear and choose love instead, you're strengthening that muscle. Every time you notice you're trying to control everything and you choose to surrender instead, you're practicing faith. Every time you forgive instead of holding a grudge, you're becoming more like God. This is the work. This is the path. Small choices, moment by moment, day by day, that gradually transform you from the inside out. I want to leave you with this final thought. You are not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need to earn God's love. You already have it. You've always had it. You will always have it. There is nothing you can do to make God love you more, and there is nothing you can do to make God love you less. You are loved completely, unconditionally, eternally, exactly as you are right now. God's plan for you is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about peeling away the layers of conditioning, the false beliefs, the masks you wear, and revealing the magnificent being you've always been underneath. You're not working toward wholeness. You're working from wholeness. You're not trying to get somewhere. You're waking up to the truth of where you already are. So today, right now, in this moment, make a choice. Choose to trust. Choose to have faith. Choose to believe that you're being guided, that you're being supported, that you're exactly where you need to be. Choose to see your life through the lens of love instead of fear. Choose to look for evidence of God's presence everywhere you go, and watch what happens. Watch how synchronicities start appearing. Watch how doors start opening. Watch how the right people start showing up at the right time. Watch how resources appear just when you need them. This is not magic. This is not wishful thinking. This is how the universe works when you align yourself with it instead of fighting against it. This is what's available to you when you stop trying to control everything and start trusting God's plan for your life. This is the peace that passes understanding. This is the joy that doesn't depend on circumstances. This is the love that heals all wounds. This is your birthright. This is your truth. This is who you really are. You are a divine being having a human experience. You are an expression of God in physical form. The same creative intelligence that spins planets in orbit and causes flowers to bloom is alive in you right now. Let it guide you. Let it heal you. Let it show you the way. Surrender to it. Trust it. Follow it. And watch as your life transforms into something more beautiful than you could have ever planned for yourself. This is God's plan for you. To wake up, to remember who you are, to live from love instead of fear, to express your unique gifts, to make a difference, to be happy, to be whole, to be free. Everything else is just details. Everything else will work itself out. You don't have to figure it all out. You just have to take the next step, and then the next, and then the next. One foot in front of the other, guided by love, supported by grace, held by infinite intelligence. You've got this. Not because you're doing it alone, but because you're never alone. God is with you, in you, as you, right now and always. Feel that presence. Trust that love. Follow that light. And know with absolute certainty that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, learning exactly what you're supposed to learn, becoming exactly who you're meant to become. There are no mistakes. There are no accidents. There is only God's perfect plan unfolding in its perfect timing. So breathe, relax, let go, trust, have faith, be healed. And step forward into the magnificent life that's waiting for you, the life you were born to live, the life that's aligned with God's highest vision for you. It's already yours. You just have to claim it. You just have to say yes. You just have to surrender to the love that's been chasing you your whole life, waiting for you to turn around and receive it. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your life. Don't waste another second doubting yourself or God's plan for you. You are meant to be here. You are meant to thrive. You are meant to shine your light so brightly that others find their way home too. This is the truth. This is your purpose. This is God's plan for you. Now go live it.